Hey everyone, it's David Chen. Let's talk about this week's Oscars ceremony. Oof, this was a rough Oscars, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why. If you're new to this channel, by the way, welcome. I'm David, and I generally talk about TV and film. Hit subscribe, hit like, hit that bell icon if you want to make sure to catch new videos as they come up. Okay, let's get into it. So, Oscars are always tough. It's very rare for people to come away watching an Oscar and be like, that was a really good ceremony that they put together. There are very few Oscar broadcasts that are universally liked. Best case scenario, you can hope for some really memorable, meaningful moments. And while this broadcast may have had those, it kind of hit them in all the wrong ways. But let's start by talking about some of the good things about this year's Oscars broadcast. First of all, really loved the opening sequence with Regina King walking down into Union Station as the camera followed her and these opening credits popped up on the screen. It really was glamorous and fun, and it made me feel like, hey, this is going to be different this year. You know, things are going to be really different, and not just because of COVID, because we're trying something really out there. And certainly that's exactly what they tried to do with the show. They tried to make it so that it felt more like a film. You know, these people that were presenting were actually starring in the movie of the Oscars or the show of the Oscars. They shot the whole thing in 24 FPS instead of usually the broadcast standard, and also shot it in widescreen, and they kind of framed people from all these weird compositions so that they only filled up a small portion of the screen. They really tried to be interesting with it. But another thing about this year's Oscars that was pretty good is that you had movies and awards that were generally pretty good, pretty solid, great movies. Like a couple of my favorite movies, Sound of Metal and Judas and the Black Messiah, won some awards. You got Yoon Ya-jung becoming the first Korean woman ever to win for Best Supporting Actress, which is huge. And then Chloe Zhao winning Best Director. These are huge milestones. And so overall, when it comes to the choices that Oscar voters made, I may not agree with them myself, but like there's very few of them that I thought like that's just completely wrong. So I thought that the awards, the movies, all great stuff. And finally, I am grateful that they tried to do something different with how the show looked. They really tried to shake things up. For instance, they mixed up the order of the awards. They didn't cut off speeches with music, which was always one of my least favorite parts of these award shows. Is like this person is winding up and they're getting to a really emotional part of the speech, and then music starts playing them off, and it's just like your soul wants to leave your body because it's so uncomfortable and awkward. It's just like, just please stop with the music. And they did that. They just let every speech go on as long as they wanted to. And a lot of the speeches weren't very interesting, but some of them were good, and it led to some really fun and unpredictable moments, like when Daniel Kaluuya thanked his parents for having sex in order for him to exist.
My mom met my dad, they had sex. It's amazing. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I'm here.
I mean, I think the Oscars have really needed a shakeup for a really long time. For the most part, it's a bunch of rich, famous people patting each other on the back and giving each other awards. And so in terms of delivering a shakeup, in terms of delivering something different, this Oscars definitely accomplished that. But not like this. Not like this.
Not like this. Not like this.
There were many things wrong with this year's Oscars ceremony, and I'm just going to list like the top few things that were wrong. First thing is, rather than show clips from the movies themselves, they opted to have people talking about the nominees and talking about their work, which I just felt like was an interesting choice. You know, I'm glad they tried something different, but it didn't really work. And these are movies that were nominated. A lot of them, many people haven't seen yet. You want to use this ceremony as an opportunity to entice people to see these movies. And I feel like on that front, the ceremony failed completely. It just is not as interesting to have people telling rather than showing you why you should watch a movie. Second thing is like the pacing of the whole night was just really, really weird. You know, you had cutaways to people who were in different countries giving the speeches, and it's just like, I understand that's not necessarily a bad thing. You don't want to force people to come to the theater, as they tried to do apparently to some people. You want to allow people to be COVID safe and compliant however they feel they can be healthy. But then you also have them giving extremely long speeches, as I mentioned earlier. But then you have other baffling pacing decisions, like a comedic segment with Glenn Close dancing to Da Butt, and also an in memoriam segment that felt like it was just super rushed through. And the worst part is they stripped out all of the song performances. Now, Not all Oscar-nominated songs are great, but having the song performances in there really gave a kind of glamour and festivity to the evening, a kind of pageantry to the night that would have been great if it was part of this specific broadcast. But it wasn't. They did it in the pre-show, and that's a huge shame, a huge loss. Would have livened things up immeasurably, and I think the broadcast was a lot poorer for that loss. But let's get to it. The thing that people are going to be remembering about this year's Oscars for a really long time, and that is how the ending of the show played out, which is, first of all, they switched up the ordering of the awards. Usually the night culminates with Best Picture, and there's a reason for that. Best Picture is like, hey, this is our version of the best movie of the year. And now it's not always the best movie of the year. In fact, quite often it's not a very good movie. I'm looking at you, Green Book and Crash, but sometimes it's actually really good, and there's always this emotional moment with all these people run up onto the stage and they talk about how amazing it was to make the movie, and there's a nice catharsis. It makes sense to put it at the end. So, first of all, the ceremony did Nomadland dirty by moving the Best Picture award to middle of the show, like a couple awards up before Best Actress and Best Actor, right? And if they hadn't done that, this day we'd all be talking about Nomadland. It would have been Nomadland's big night, this movie that won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, and it's a shame that that's not really the narrative, but it should have been. And so Nomadland, not a movie I love, but a movie that a lot of people did, ended up getting kind of short-shrifted by this. And that's a bummer because a lot of milestones with Nomadland's win. But then you have that final painful moment. Now, I think it's very obvious that what they were trying to do was build up to what they thought was going to be a Chadwick Boseman win. Chadwick Boseman did an amazing job in his performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I thought it was like god tier level performance and would have very much deserved winning. Of course, Anthony Hopkins also did an amazing job in The Father, and this is a very subjective experience, and I could see one person watching both performances and thinking Anthony Hopkins did better. Not necessarily a choice I would have made, but I think it's like a valid choice. And what ended up happening instead was Joaquin Phoenix gets onto the stage looking completely like he does not want to be there at all. And I'm thinking, Chadwick Boseman is going to be announced, and that's why they put it at the end. So there's going to be this heartfelt tribute to this great actor who has passed this year. And instead, what happened was they said Anthony Hopkins won, and Anthony Hopkins was not even there. So Joaquin Phoenix awkwardly accepts on behalf of the Academy, and then they cut to the end of the thing, and Questlove is takes us out, and we're done. That's the end of the show. And it was one of the most baffling outcomes I've ever seen at the Oscars. I guess since the Moonlight La La Land thing, and that was just a couple of years ago. But what a weird way to end the show. I actually filmed my reaction. Here it is.
Anthony Hopkins.
What? What the f***? Couple quick reactions to this. It was a colossal miscalculation on the producer's part. I mean, even if it had gone as they planned, it would have felt a little bit exploitative to have Chadwick Boseman's family there and give a speech, felt a little bit icky that you're kind of trying to build up to this dramatic moment of, awarding him posthumously. I again, think it would have been well deserved, but it just felt a little weird. But then he doesn't even win. And not only that, the winner is not even there to say anything. So it just felt like you're building up to this moment that didn't happen at all. And on the other side of that, we now know for sure that the producers of the show do not know the winners before, because if they did, they definitely would not have built up to this outcome. But anyway, it was really painful. It was really unfortunate. It was, again, a colossal miscalculation. And I think to the extent that people remember this ceremony at all, they will remember it for this mistake that they made in structuring the awards and the broadcast this way. But on that note, people don't seem to be really watching this anymore. The ratings were down over 50% since last year. I think they tried to shake things up, and award shows in general are not doing well this year because of all the stuff that's happening in the world right now. But I thought that it was a particularly bad broadcast. It was particularly unfortunate, and it made me really sad because at their best, the Oscars are aspirational. They make you feel like this is what's possible. Anything is possible in the world of storytelling in Hollywood, and you can buy into the glitz and the glamour and the mythos of this place because of all these larger-than-life stars that you can see. And maybe that's not necessarily like a good thing to buy into, but it is a nice dream that people can watch the Oscars and then one day be like, I can be on that stage. And it can be this big thing that you hope for and work towards. And what this Oscars made me feel like instead was that the emperor has no clothes. That basically the things that we think of Hollywood as are an illusion. And that there's nothing left but people in a large dining room giving out these statues to each other. And what does that have to do with us exactly? So, huge bummer. Sorry about that. But let me know what you thought of the Oscars. Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was a lot better, more interesting than I thought it was? Hit me up in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit like or subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Make sure you get notifications whenever I publish a new video. Thanks to all of my patrons at patreon.com/Dave Chen for their support and making my videos possible. Hope you enjoyed this one. But if not, maybe the next one will hit you in a better spot. Thanks for watching. See you later.